friends, I'm Akash, and this is your News of the Week for the week of March 27th to April 2nd, 2022. I'm Akash Cody, and we begin with an update on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, the siege of Mariupol draws ever nearer to a close, and as strikes continue to hit the western of Ukraine, the situation just keeps getting worse. Now, as Russia has been hitting strikes towards the unofficial western capital of Ukraine, Lviv, there has actually been a fire at a fuel depot in a Russian city just outside the border with Ukraine called Belgorod. And Russia is blaming Ukraine on this. They say that Ukraine has fired a missile towards this fuel depot that caused it to straight up explode. Ukraine denies these allegations. This is a major hassle to the peace talks that Russia and Ukraine have been having in Istanbul, the capital of Turkey. Now, this is a really important thing that's been going on. Russia does not want Ukraine to join NATO because Russia sees NATO as a threat. But what Russia does want is for Ukraine to recognize that Crimea is a Russian territory instead of Ukrainians, and also that the Donbass region is comprised of two unrecognized areas, namely the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. These are literally only recognized by Russia, who is literally the only UN country on planet Earth who has recognized the DPR and the LPR. And Russia really wants Ukraine to join in too, but Ukraine is not going to budge. Now, another major issue that's been taking place during these talks is the discussion of how to evacuate those who are stuck in this war, the majority of which say are from Mariupol, a city that has basically been under siege for the past few weeks. And, well, the only escape out is either to sea, which is almost already entirely bordered by Russian forces, or is going back through land outside, entering Russian territory. So Russia has effectively quarantined this region on its own, and it's the last final stand in the southeast of the country. So this is the situation at hand. And so after a lot of struggles, Russia finally accepted that there is going to be a bus line that travels from Mariupol through Russian territory out to the currently Ukrainian-controlled Zaporizhia, which is still under very, very, very subtle but quite quickly moving Russian forces. It seems that Russia decided that, if anything, if they're going to move to a city that's under Ukrainian control, better one that's going to be not under Ukrainian control relatively quickly. Now, this is what Russia has been going on about, but Ukraine doesn't see it to be much of a problem, as it seems that they might think that Zaporizhia is quite under their control for the time being. Now, Russia has stated that they're going to be drastically reducing their operations on two fronts, Kyiv and Chernihiv. Naturally, right after that happened, they bombed both of those cities. Yeah, Russia seems to have this tendency of not necessarily following up on things that they are planning to do or that they have said. But when it comes to war, these types of things just fall silent entirely. The chief of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine stated that what Russia was now trying to do, because their initiative in Kyiv had failed, was for instead to try and split the country in two, saying that it's like the Korean situation, referencing the Korean War back in the 1950s. But then again, although Russia appears to be withdrawing their forces from Kyiv, the Pentagon and the United States doesn't think that way. We think that instead, these forces are simply repositioning in order to continue the Kyiv invasion for their best benefit instead. So that's the situation in Russia and the Ukrainian invasion that's been taking place there. So let's take a look at our next story of the week, which is the 94th Academy Awards. They took place on March 27th, 2022. And these are very different compared to the usual one, but it's not for the reason that you might think that this has took the whole world by storm. Now, for a start, we're going to talk about who won. I mean, that's the most important part of the Oscars, right? So we begin with the Best Picture, which was won by the comedy drama film Coda. Now, Coda actually became the very first ever Best Picture film to be distributed on a streaming service, namely Apple TV+. So this just goes to show the rapid rise of streaming services in today's day and age. So that's who won the Coda, this Best Picture award, which is why we're going to take a look at the Best Director, which went to Jane Campion for directing the movie The Power of the Dog, which is a Western thriller which got 11 other nominations, none of which it won. The Best Director is the only award that The Power of the Dog actually won this year, and it ended up becoming the first film to have lost 11 nominations since 1985's The Color Purple by Steven Spielberg. Now, let's take a look at Dune, which is the science fiction movie that managed to take 6 awards during this Oscars, the most in this Academy Awards. But even with all of this interesting news in the Best Picture, Best Director, who gained the most awards, the thing that most people are actually talking about the Oscars, the reason why this has become the biggest thing everyone's talking about now, is because of the infamous Will Smith slapping incident. That's right, during a monologue by comedian Chris Rock, that's right, he made a joke that Will Smith found quite offending, and so Will Smith just straight up walked onto the stage and slapped Chris Rock in his face and then left the stage. This is incredibly shocking to literally everyone who was watching this. This was really, really weird. But then again, the joke that Will Smith got offended by was actually about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and about the alopecia areata that she has. It's basically partial hair loss. And so Chris Rock made a joke about that, and well, I guess it's understandable to see why Will Smith would be quite offended by that. But many people think that Will Smith's reaction was a bit too over. And apparently a lot of people even wondered whether this whole thing was a publicity stunt or whether it was staged. But that was not even right either. This thing actually happened for real. And this basically broke records. This got the whole world talking, and it ended up gaining massive attention. A video of this event, uncensored, that included what Will Smith basically shouted at Chris Rock right afterwards, telling him not to make jokes about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. All of that combined was an absolutely shocking thing, and The Guardian uploaded an uncensored version on YouTube, which ended up gaining 50 million views in 24 hours, which is one of the most viewed videos in 24 hours, which is, it's incredible. And it's for this incident that has taken place. And although in America it was censored, and that ended up not happening in the other parts of the world, that's where The Guardian got their bit from. So, this is the situation that took place. And later, when Will Smith was announced to have won the Best Actor award, he went on stage and apologized to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, or AMPAS, which is the organization that creates the Oscars and organizes them. But he didn't exactly apologize to Chris Rock, the man he slapped. So, a while later, he actually ended up giving out an apology on his social media, and then just yesterday, on April 1st, he announced that he would be resigning from AMPAS as a result of the allegations and what has happened in this scenario. This was an absolutely massive incident, and yeah, we're seeing some reputations being changed. Perhaps forever. But then again, it's quite interesting to note the fact that Will Smith seemed to have originally found the joke funny, but Jada Pinkett Smith definitely did not. And so this apparent change was seen by many people as kind of suspicious. But this is what had happened at the Oscars, and it's the reason why literally everyone is talking about the Oscars right now. It's absolutely massive. And that is the largest controversy that's been taking place about the Academy Awards that occurred on March 27th. So let's take a look at our last story of the week, which is an update on coronavirus. So as you can see, our cases have just been keeping dropping and dropping. Although it is quite slow. We're seeing, 1.6 million cases per day, 1.7. And, it is a low from 1.8 that we've seen last week, but, it's kind of slow as well. But then again, the good thing is things are going down. When it comes to the cases in America, we're seeing roughly 35,000, or in fact 29,000 cases per day in America. Things are going really low. And when it comes to the deaths, though, they tell an entire different tale. Things are going by rapidly. 4,000 deaths per day in the world, 650 of which are from the United States. These cases and deaths are getting really low. So the main reason why these cases are just pumping up massively now is mainly because of what's been going on in East Asia. But the good thing is, cases are going down there too. South Korea has had 260,000 cases per day, which is a low from their 300,000 beforehand, and it seems that their prediction was right. Cases would peak out at 400,000 or 500,000, and then they just start dribbling back down again. Japan was also at 45,000, but the exception to this going down in cases, this drop in cases in East Asia, is China, which is at 9,000 cases, which, I know, 9,000 cases just doesn't seem like a lot. And you'd be right, but then again, the zero COVID policy had worked almost flawlessly. This is what China's been reporting, and they're saying that everything's worked perfectly fine until recently, when cases just shot up from the double digits in 60 cases, and then it goes right the way up to 9,000. So it's quite massive for China. And this has resulted in mass lockdowns as a result of the zero COVID policy. And although it seems like their policy may not be working, the lockdowns surely have. Lockdowns have been taking place in Shanghai, which is one of the largest cities in China, and it's soon expected that the other larger cities in the country that will also probably go under lockdown as well, maybe even including the capital of Beijing. So that's what's been going on in China, and I truly hope that the situation will be resolved quickly. And that is all of your news of the week for the week of March 27th to April 2nd, 2022. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in another News of the Week. Goodbye.